Hello guys, and welcome back to the MD Investor channel. The channel where we talk about personal finance so you can increase your financial IQ and break the cycle of generational poverty. Today we're not going to waste any time, we're going to get right into it. Today we're going to talk about the FIRE movement. Not the fire over here, but the FIRE movement, which stands for Financially Independent, Retire Early. Financially Independent, Retire Early. What is it? It is a lifestyle movement that is really taking off since the early 2010s. Okay? It's really about people trying to get their life back. We see a lot of that in the Great Resignation, where people are quitting their job en masse, essentially for quality of life. Spending time with their family, being available for special moments, as well as doing things that bring joy and satisfaction to them. And so this is kind of part of it, the FIRE movement. Financially independent from what? From their job. Financially independent from their job, right? The person that is completely and wholly, totally dependent on their job is in a very bad situation. Because you're only a phone call away, a meeting or email away from being completely destroyed financially. The retire early is kind of debatable, right? Some people still have passion projects they want to work on, but stuff that brings quality and joy to them. But the main thing is that they do not want to be forced to work just for money. A lot of the information in the FIRE movement, a lot of the foundation was laid by two books. Your Money or Your Life, written in 1992 by Vicki Robin, R-O-B-I-N, and Joe Dominguez. Your Money or Your Life. And the other one is written in 2010 called Early Retirement Extreme, written by Jacob Lund Fisker, F-I-S-K-E-R. These two versions of simple living and passive income from investment. And that's what kind of laid the foundation of the FIRE movement. Why FIRE? Why would somebody aspire to retire early? Why, Well, we know that the traditional retirement that the government has for us, or for me and you, is to work until you're 65. But we know that retirement is not an age, it's a number. Right? You see the commercial and you have the silver-haired couple on one side of the desk and on the other side of the financial profession. But why does retirement have to mean 65? Athletes retire, Michael Jordan retired, LeBron is going to retire one day, they will be 65. And we take that as like normal, right? Because they are rich and wealthy and they have the money to retire. And that's what you need to retire. You need the finance to be able to maintain your lifestyle. That's what you need to retire. But because we have been miseducated, indoctrinated, that it's an age that we go around spending all our money, right? And we have nothing left over, and then you end up working till you're 65 or 70. Okay? So, people who aspire to the FIRE movement want to retire several decades before traditional retirement. So they want to retire not at 65, but in your 30s. Some of them even in your 20s, in your 40s or in your 50s. They want to retire before traditional retirement. How do you FIRE? The greatest variable for how long it'll take you for it to be financially independent is your savings rate. Let me say that again. Traditional retirement said that you should save 10 to 15% of your income over 40 years, and then you will have a nice nest egg. 10 to 15% of your income will allow you to retire at age 65. But since the people on the FIRE path do not want to retire at 65, but several decades earlier, they're not going to save 10 to 15%, but they're going to have a much higher savings rate. Savings rate in the range of 30%, 40%, 50%. Can you imagine saving half of your take-home money? 60 and even 70% for people who are really gung-ho and want to get off the hamster wheel quickly. They save 70% of their income. How do they do that? They do that by making choices. Yes, they do that by making choices. So instead of having a brand new car every couple of years, they stick with the vehicle they had that worked, that allowed them to avoid a car payment. Now that car payment that they don't have can be invested in the market. They don't buy the biggest house that the bank said they are allowed to get, right? Along with the biggest mortgage that allowed them to save that additional money that would have been spent on mortgage. They don't buy the latest iPhone every time it comes out, but they keep the phone that they have for 3, 4, 5, 6 years. It works just fine. That additional expense, or that expense that they would have had, can now be invested in the market. They don't buy the red bottom shoes and they go to Hawaii every other year to put on Instagram and Facebook, and those money that they're not spending can now be invested to buy back their life, buy back their time, buy back their freedom. That's what they do. Choices. And this entire society is built on consumerism. They market to us, and they know what triggers us to buy, and they flood the radio and the TV just to get us to spend. But people who are inspired to fire are also spending, but it's just buying different things, right? One person is buying liabilities, and another person is buying assets. That's the difference. The liability will be worthless. You put it on Instagram and then, you're done. And the person who's buying assets, and eventually they're buying their freedom. They're buying their time back, okay? That's why it's very important to have a goal, okay? It's very important to be goal directed, because when you have a target in mind, it alters your behavior. The thing about your GPS, when you want to go somewhere, you put the direction in there, correction, you put the destination in there, and then the computer, the GPS, calculates a route for you to get there. You put the destination at age 65, I want to retire. They said, okay, you have plenty of time, 40 years. So you're gonna buy. You need to buy red bottom shoes. You need to go out to dinner every other day. You need to go to Hawaii and buy the red bottom shoes, because, like you said, you put the destination of 40 years. You don't need to save all that money. The same person who put the destination in there as, I want to retire in a decade, in 10 years. The route for you is going to be more direct. You need to get rid of all this stuff. Buy the smartest house that you can afford in the best neighborhood, so your kids can go to a good school and you don't have to pay private tuition. You keep your car, your 10, 12-year-old car that's working to fine. Save your down payment. Correction, save your car payment. So now you can put and invest that money that you would have been spending on your car back into the market. Don't buy those red bottom shoes, buy the dirty bottom shoes. So now you can invest that money that you would have spent into the market, and thereby buying your time back. When you're researching about FIRE, you come across something called the 4% rule. The 4% rule is basically a rule that was discovered while at the Trinity College, I believe. And they basically looked at different portfolio components, mainly stocks, mainly bonds, a mixture of stocks and bonds. And what they came up with, essentially, that when you have a portfolio with about 75% stocks and about 25% bond, and you're able to withdraw 4% yearly and have the portfolio continue indefinitely. I believe continue for 30 years. But this was for people who were retiring in their 60s. Sometimes the question comes up, how much do I have to save to achieve financial independence? What's my FI number, my FI number? And it's it can be extrapolated from the 4% rule. You take 100 divided by 4 from the 4% rule, you get 25. So if you were to calculate your annual expenses in retirement, you multiply that number by 25, you'll come up with a number, and that number is your financial independence, or your FI number. Sometimes you read these blogs or watch these YouTube videos, and they'll say stuff like, what's your FI number? So, for example, if you say, I need $100,000 annually to live the life that I would like to live, to maintain my lifestyle, $100,000 per year, you take $100,000 per year, multiply by 25, and you'll come up with $2.5 million. So with a portfolio of $2.5 million, you can withdraw 4% every year and still maintain your portfolio and never run out of money. Okay? So you have to come up with your annual expenses. Obviously, if your expenses was only half, so instead of $100,000 per year, you said you need $50,000 per year, and you can live and maintain the lifestyle you like, you multiply that $50,000 a year by 25, and then you'll come up with $1.25 million. Okay? So everybody's number is different. Now that you know the number you need to get your FI number, it's kind of a target, right? Not just a goal. So now if you know that you are, say the example of $1.25 million, and now you only have, I don't know, $675,000, I believe. You say, okay, I'm halfway there, right? So now you see, because now you're a target, now you can be guided. How am I doing? Am I keeping up? Am I behind? Do I need to increase my savings, my investing? It's good, because a lot of times, a lot of people don't have these numbers in your mind. What do you want to do? I want to retire early. What age? Blah, blah, blah. How are you going to get there? I have no idea. See the difference? One of them is a wish. They said a goal without a plan is a wish. It's a wish. Now the person that has the goal and a plan, how are you going to do that? I am going to save 50, 60% of my money every paycheck. And I'm invested in a broadly diversified index fund like VTSAX or the S&P 500. Okay? That's a plan. The other person had no clue. Okay? Who fired? The millennials, like we said. They started really this movement from the foundational teaching from those two books we mentioned, Your Money or Your Life and Early Retirement Extreme. Okay? And a lot of the tech types, a lot of high income earners, they tend to be the one who fire. A lot of white males, which has kind of been a pushback from a lot of the critics of the FIRE movement. A lot of the critics of the FIRE movement say, you know what? FIRE is not for everybody. FIRE is for high income people. That's why only, computer techs and Silicon Valley people and doctors and lawyers, only those can FIRE. But I beg to disagree. I believe that living below your income, saving a large percentage, kind of making wise choices, anybody can benefit from that, okay? Whether you're a tech person, or whether your income is super high or not, I believe everybody can benefit from that. Another thing too that the critics will push back on is saying that the people that propose the FIRE movement proponents, they underestimate the amount of money that you will need in retirement. We can go back to the Trinity study that said that the 4% rule is you can remove 4% from your portfolio every year and you'll never run out of money. And then from that, we got the 25. You take 25 times your annual expenses. Well, the Trinity study was for people who are retiring at 60, in your mid-60s, and their retirement duration is only about 30 years. But now you got people who are going to retire in your 30, and their retirement duration is going to be 60, maybe even 70 years. The study was not designed for that, okay? The study was not designed for that. So that's part of it. Let me add to that. A lot of people in the FIRE movement, they add a little cushion. What I mean is, we say you take your expenses and multiply by 25. Some people say, well, that's kind of tight. So I'll take my expenses and multiply by 30 or 33 or 40. Just to give a little cushion in case of any hiccups. And another thing that the critics mentioned was that most people get their health care from their job, from their employer. And you can't be, you're not eligible for Medicare until like you're in your 60s. So if you are retiring and you have no employer, which means you have no health care, and you're not eligible for Medicare, what are you going to do for that interim, that gap, that in between, which could be 30, 40 years? How do you get health care? Which is a good question, I'm glad you asked. A lot of them will say, well, a lot of people who are retiring early in the retirement are young and healthy, so they can have a high deductible health care plan, which makes sense. If something happens to them and they go to the hospital, they have a higher deductible. But that means their premiums are also lower. So we'll do a high deductible health care plan, which is going to make them eligible for an HSA, a health savings account, which is another key investment strategy, which we're not going to do in this video. A lot of them will do something called almost like a geo arbitrage. So maybe they live in a place that is less expensive, less expensive part of the world. And maybe in a country like have the universal health care, like England or another part of the world that have universal health care. So those are some of the things that they might do. If it's a couple, maybe one of them may still work and therefore get health care through that port. So a lot of them have small business, whether it's a YouTube channel or some other business that they're passionate about, that work and they want to do, and therefore they can have insurance through their small business, which is tax deductible as well. So these are some of the highlights, guys, of the FIRE movement. I absolutely love it because what it's doing is going counter to what society has taught us, that you have to spend, only save a small amount, and then give up the best years of your life to a job that will get rid of you in a heartbeat. Change your hours, lower your pay, send your job to Mexico in a heartbeat, and you're giving all your loyalty to them. Why? Why FIRE? Why? Because we want our life back. We see a lot of that now in the Great Resignation. A lot of people just realize how much they're giving away to their job. By being home for the 18 months, 2 years during the pandemic, have a chance to kind of catch up and see family and realize what truly brings joy to their life, not having to commute every day, the microaggression and the toxic corporate culture. They realize, no thank you. How do you FIRE? You FIRE by increasing your savings rate, by having a target, right? What they call an F.I.R.E. number, okay? By making choices to lower our expenses and increase our income with the side job, okay? We learned about the 4% rule, right? You have a broadly diversified index fund. The FIRE people, they love VTSAX, they love the S&P 500 index fund, and they pour money into it with the hopes of achieving their FIRE number. So there's a target, and when there's a target, it altered your behavior, all right? And you start making decisions because you know why you're doing it. Who FIRE? We said millennials and a lot of high income earners. However, we said anybody can benefit from the principles that are taught by FIRE. We know there's some critics and their opponents to FIRE. Sometimes they say we underestimate the amount of money that would be needed for retirement due to the 4% rule, and saying that because your retirement is going to be longer than 30 years, which is what the Trinity study calculated, and your retirement could be twice as long, so you may need more money. So to combat this, the FIRE people say, okay, instead of 4%, we will only withdraw 3.5% or maybe 3%. Okay? And of course the healthcare issue, because they're retiring early and they have no employer-sponsored retirement, and they're too young for Medicare. A lot of them will do geo arbitrage, maybe go to a country that has universal health care, or they will have a high deductible health plan, or maybe one other spouse works, or maybe they will just get it through their small business, which is tax deductible. Okay, guys, so I hope you got value out of this. And if you are getting value, hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell. And let people know about the MD Investor, that we're not a CPA, we're not a tax attorney, we're not a financial advisor, but we're regular people, we're a regular person who's basically increasing our financial IQ by studying so we can break the cycle of generational poverty. I appreciate you. Until next time, continue to command your money to grow. MD Investor out.